Good afternoon, I'm Alan Unell, and this series of videos is Healthcare Advocacy, where we address problems in the healthcare system and try to take actions to make a better system for all of us. Today we're going to talk about blood pressure control and my favorite, Project 2025. Just kidding. Down below in the YouTube description box is a link to the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter. You can subscribe for free if you go to that link. You can also find all of the studies and references to medical journals and news articles and actions. It's all in the newsletter. You can get it delivered to your inbox every day for free. Let's get started. There's a new study from the University of South Wales that found that a new pill combining low doses of 3 different antihypertensive medications surpassed a current high-quality standard care treatment plan using one antihypertensive drug. The researchers estimate that there are about 1.28 billion adults around the world with hypertension, high blood pressure. There are a variety of medications available to treat it, and it's not uncommon for a person to have to take multiple different medications on a daily basis. Now, having multiple medications to take every day increases what's called the medication or pill burden. And past studies have actually shown that if the pill burden increases, patients' adherence to the prescribed order of taking pills falters. That is, the more pills people have to take, the more likely it is that they just don't take them all. A new study recently published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that a new pill combining low doses of these 3 different antihypertensive medications surpassed the current high-quality standard of care with one medication. The study was part of a phase 3 that's really important because that's far down the testing range. Phase 3 clinical trial of the new triple combination. It's called GMR-X2. It's manufactured by George Medicines. And for the study, they recruited 300 people with uncontrolled blood pressure in Nigeria. Half the participants got GMR-X2, once daily medication. Of these 3 medicines, amlodipine, indapamide, I'm going to mess up all these pronunciations, don't write to me about it, telmisartan, just don't write to me about that. The other half of the study participants got the current high blood pressure standard care treatment that's actually recommended by the Nigerian Ministry of Health. It starts with one medication, and then if they can't get your blood pressure under control, they give you another one to take with it. And if they still can't get it under control, then they give you a third. So you can see why there are three medications in the single pill. Anyway, the new paradigm is based on the evidence that at low doses, most benefits are maintained and most adverse effects are avoided. So what were the results? Good news, lower blood pressure and stable results in 1 month. After 6 months of treatment, the team found that the study participants taking GMR-X2 had 31 milligrams lower home systolic blood pressure compared to 26 milligrams lower in the control group. Previous research correlates a 5 milligram reduction in systolic blood pressure to a reduced risk of major cardiovascular events by about 10%. So that's pretty good. The scientists also discovered that after only 1 month, 81% of the participants receiving GMR-X2 had achieved clinic measured blood pressure control versus 55% in the standard care group. At the end of 6 months, it was 82% stable for GMR-X2 compared to 72% for the standard treatment. That's pretty good. Anyway, the team has submitted their results to the FDA, and we're probably going to see this pill out in the public pretty soon. So that's good. Now my favorite subject, not Trump and Project 2025 and healthcare, and what kind of effect the Republicans and the right-wing, I don't even have a noun for it, have in plan for our healthcare. Project 2025, of course, there's a link to it in the newsletter, and you can go and read those 922 pages. You'll be staying up late at night like I do. It is the far right-wing extremist agenda developed by the Heritage Foundation and largely written by people who worked for Trump and his administration. It would increase the power of corporations at the expense of Americans' health and well-being. It would give more control to healthcare companies by jeopardizing protections that help many patients access and afford the care they need. Project 2025 would take us back to a time when corporations were free to pump dangerous toxins into the air we breathe and the water we drink. It's hard enough to control them now. If Project 2025's plan for a far-right administration takes effect, corporations will profit while patients are saddled with higher bills, less accessible health care, more exposure to toxins, and more harmful health conditions. You can read about it in a link to the Center for American Progress report. Anyway, they plan to end Medicare drug price negotiations. Project 2025 calls for eliminating the historic Medicare drug price negotiation program put in place by the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act. It would pave the road to a fully privatized Medicare by making Medicare Advantage the default enrollment. That's number 2. Project 2025 calls for making private insurance plans through Medicare Advantage programs the default for all Medicare enrollees. When Medicare enrollees opt into a Medicare Advantage plan, the federal government, the Medicare program, pays private companies to operate those plans on a per member per month fee. It's about $1,000 a month unless you have the tiniest thing wrong with you or they make up the tiniest thing wrong with you. Then it's another $800 a month. It's just a boondoggle. Anyway, these plans don't save taxpayers money. This Medicare Advantage versus Medicare costs about an extra $83 billion a year to the taxpayers. It's just a boondoggle. Number 3, they would remove consumer protections from non-subsidized Affordable Care Act marketplace plans. Project 2025 calls for removing the historic consumer protections in those plans. Before the ACA, insurers could deny or charge people with pre-existing conditions. That's as many as 50% of Americans. They could charge more for coverage, set stringent annual and lifetime coverage limits, or just deny the coverage, period. We're not going to sell you an insurance plan. And I got to tell you, there was another problem, is that they typically charged women more for insurance plans for no good reason. The excuse was pregnancy. I got news for you. Pregnancy isn't a viable cause for increasing insurance, and the data does not support that. But that's just who these companies are. Anyway, under Project 2025, these protections would all be stripped away for non-subsidized ACA marketplace plans. In other words, for people who buy ACA marketplace insurance without a federal subsidy. Those plans would also have no limit set on how much of people's premiums have to be spent on actual health care, enabling insurers to once again reap huge profits at the expense of patients. What that means is, I believe there are rules in place now that say 80% of premiums have to go to health care. It doesn't have to go to your health care, but just has to go to health care. It doesn't have to be that way. Number 4, this one is particularly annoying to me because Trump himself put this in place and touted it as choice for people. They would promote junk insurance plans that expose consumers to just financial catastrophe. The extremists behind Project 2025 call for making it easier to buy junk insurance plans that leave enrollees vulnerable to high out-of-pocket costs, specifically association health plans and short-term plans. There are countless stories of consumers who have bought these junk insurance plans, didn't realize they got a bad deal until it was too late. They are generally super high deductible catastrophic plans. And something happens, you get into a car accident, and then all of a sudden, good luck to you, you're bankrupt. All right. What Trump did was he allowed people, instead of having these plans in place for a maximum of 3 months, they let them go, I believe, for a year at a time, renewable for 3 years. The plans make a fortune for insurance companies because they have to pay out very little. And yet they rake in premiums from unsuspecting people who think they're actually buying valid health insurance. It would enable corporations to more easily expose Americans to dangerous pollutants and hazards, and that is a health risk. It calls for pausing and revisiting the Environmental Protection Agency rules and revoking critical Environmental Protection Agency powers, which would greatly limit the agency's ability to protect Americans from environmental toxins such as lead poisoning. I'm going to say it wrong, but it's PFAs, known as forever chemicals. Soot, which is everywhere, generally due to cars and trains and trucks that run on diesel fuel and gas. Since 1988, nearly 3/4 of global industrial greenhouse emissions were linked to a mere 100 companies. Did you get that? Emissions are tied directly to Americans' health. Exposure to water pollution and air pollution is associated with a wide variety of health conditions: lung, kidney, heart problems, as well as emergency department visits, hospital admissions, child development problems, and, no surprise, increased mortality. Summary: the extremist right wants to return to the 1950s and 60s, when there was little regulation or environmental protection for our health care and our health. If those things matter to you, vote accordingly. That's what I've got for you. Make sure that you register to vote and don't let them put this stuff in place. Down below, you can like, share this, subscribe. You can also send comments to me at healthcareadvocacy1, all one word, at gmail.com. I'll try to do research for you, and I'll answer your comments as quickly as I can. Have a good evening.